Let's continue with the series of videos for Power BI from basic up to advanced. Today we're going to see the information modeling of data. This tool is also known in Excel as Power Pivot. So we are not see in Power BI. So let's open file number 3, this sales, sellers and products file. On this Excel file, we're going to do an analysis. So as you see, here we have a table, and here we have the sales, starting with the sales date. Here we have the seller name, the product sold by this seller. We have only the code of this product and the quantity sold. So if we analyze this table, we press Ctrl and page down, and here we see we have 10,001 rows. Without the headings, it will be 10,000 heading, 10,000 rows. And now on the next table, here we have a seller table. The sellers, here we have their names, the sales place of these sellers, and the sex of each seller. And if we analyze this table, we scroll down, we have 73 rows. Without the headings, there are 72 sellers. Now the next table is product. In this product table, here we have 3 columns: the product code, the product name, and the unit price. How much this product cost. So as you see, these products are mobile telephones, yes. And here, let's analyze these 3 tables. If we move to sales, the biggest one, the main one, that is usually registering sales every day. Here we have sales from 2019 and 2020. So this belongs to 2 years specifically. So this table, also called sale, is known as general table or main table, or also known in Power BI as the fact table. Why fact? Because this table is always generating rows of information. For instance, here right now in 2021, so as long as the days go by, this sales will be registered here, maybe manually or through a system. For instance, if you are working in a supermarket and the products registered before the customers, they are registering through a little machine by the date, the name of the seller, which product, the amount of sales, and this is all registered. On the other hand, in other tables, smaller ones as the sellers or products, here we have information related to the seller. These both 2 tables, the seller and product tables, are also known as dimension tables or descriptional tables because are describing the entity. Therefore, in the product entity, here I have the product code, the name of the product, the unit price, but also may have additional information of the product. For instance, the date of admission, the procedence, the amount remaining in stock. All that information can be included here. So since this will be added in columns, it will always grow to the right, but not downwards in rows. That's why it is descriptional or dimension table. And the second one, that is the seller. This table has the name of a seller, the sales place, the sex, but also may have the phone number of the seller, the email address of the seller, the date of admission to the company of the seller, so on. All this is describing the seller, so the information may be at the column but downwards there will be very few information. These two tables are not filled in daily. It only happens when we receive, for instance, one product, a new product on the table, but the one that is always moving and always uploading is the sales table. You registered it manually or through a system. So to make a summary, the biggest table that is usually moving and is growing in rows is the fact tables, and the two little ones are always known as dimension tables. So for business modeling, I need more tables. For instance, I'm missing the customer tables. I'm missing the providers or suppliers tables. I'm missing the billing or invoicing tables. Also the warehouse or Cardex tables. But with these tables, I think it's more than enough to teach you how this Power Pivot works. Because in a business model, obviously, you have a product, but who provides you that product? The suppliers. So you're missing a supplier's table. So whom I am going to sell this table to these products to the customers, and who is going to do that sale? The sellers. How do you register the sales daily? Here in the sales. So this way we have seen how can we work, or how are we going to work on business only with these three tables to learn how to manage Power Pivot in Power BI. Now the next topic is the relationship that each table is going to have with the other one. So here in the fact table, if you see, I have the seller's name in column B. And if I go to the seller table, I have also the seller's name. So you may see here we have something in common between these two tables. So if we have something in common, there may be a relationship. I can connect both tables. So I can pull out information or retrieve information from both tables and can analyze the information of both tables. Also, if I see here in the sale table, I have a product code. And if I go to product table, I also have a product code, because here the product is unique. And these are mobile numbers, mobile telephones. And here in column A, I can connect it with a sale table with column C. So this is the key column where I can connect this sale table with this product table, this sale table with the seller table. Now let's imagine that there is no existing connection between these tables. Right now I'm giving you these tables because they have been created with a key column to connect with. But let's suppose, let's make an example where we don't have any connection at all. For instance, we have sales. I have the seller name. And in seller, I have the name also of the seller. But they can connect with this to pull out information from these tables. But the thing is that this is the not ideal column to do that, because I know that each of these sellers is unique. There is no repetition. But let's suppose that here the name, here we have a repetition. Here we have Chris, and now here we have George, Lewis, Lourdes, and James. Now let's suppose there is another James around here. So there will be two James. For instance, there is a Lawrence, there is another Lawrence. And we have a repetition. This cannot exist in a table. Here in the dimension table, the data must be unique. And usually the names will always coincide. There will be an homonym with them. So I can generate a key column to connect this table, call it seller with this one that I have here. Why? Because right now I can connect this to this, and this is more than enough. But from time to time, maybe this is not best column to connect through the name, because the names will not always be the same. For instance, I've just typed only one name for each seller, and here I have the seller's name. But I want to create a code to the seller. So here we're going to do this. I'm going to add the seller's code. Let's go to seller table, and here we're going to add the seller code. I'm going to create a key column. So to do this, I can do it this way. I can use the function equal left, double click, and with this, according to the syntax, I'm going to add the name, and from the name I'm going to take out 2 characters, only 2 characters of the left side, and enter. And now I pull it out 2 characters of this name that I have here, and this is what I need to. But this wouldn't be enough to create the code for a worker. For instance, I could add also 2 characters, but from the right side. So I'm going to add to this function, then I type an ampersand, and here I'm going to use the right function. And here it's asking me for a text. Now I select back again the name, or if I have the last name, I will do that the same. And then number 2 and close. So as you see, I am taking out 2 characters from the left side and 2 characters from the right side. So here, if I fill out, you see I'm doing the same for each of them. Now I'm creating a code for my seller, but I may add something else. For instance, I get into the formula, and here to the right I'm going to add something like this, again an ampersand, and here I open quotation marks and type 21, and then close quotation mark and enter. And now you see here I added this, the code 21. So all my sellers have this code. So I created a code for each of the seller. We got to be sure that this code should be unique. Therefore, I'm going to highlight it all, and then go to home, and in conditional formatting, in the first option here I click on the duplicate values, this option, and click OK. So it's saying here that in this information, in all these cells, there's one that is repeated here. Here you have Marlon, but here is Mason, but it's almost the same. Then here I have to apply something different. Now I'm going to use this column here, then get back to the first cell in seller code, then double click, and here I'm going to add something else with ampersand, and now click here, enter, and now I put it out here and F. Now if I do double click, now all the information are basically unique, but even though I still have two that are repeating, for instance, is I have Lucas, but here is Lucas but with K, and both are male, but I can add something else. Maybe I can pull out something like here from the place they are selling, so I can add the first one, an ampersand again, and here I want to pull out from the left of this cell, of this sales place, 3 characters, and close. Okay, now you see that this bigger, and now the codes are unique, and that's what I wanted, the unique code for each of these sellers. So this way, this combination of functions that I have performed, I have created a unique code for each of these sellers. So I'm going to open it a little more and make a summary. So the function that we use is left to pull out from cell A2 2 characters, which is C and H, and then I concatenated with this ampersand. I used the right function to pull out from the same cell A2 two other characters, and also I concatenate with the ampersand the value 21 for each of these codes. It can be any number indeed. Then I made a concatenation with another one where I am saying from cell C2, that is the sex column, to pull out the letter that is there, the F and M. F for female and N for male. And then again, I made a concatenation to use the left function, and from cell B2 that is related to the sales place, I'm pulling out 3 characters. Is the letter IDA, and then enter, and I put it out all these characters from each of these cells. That's how we do a nested function, so that we can create a new column of unique codes, and then make a double click to autofill, and I obtained the unique codes. And also to verify there is no duplication of code, I went to conditional formatting and duplicate values. So this enables me to put it in color if there's some duplication. Then that's how I created this column. Remember, if you need to review this, you can repeat the video, but maybe you need to learn these functions, because these are basic functions, but they're very interesting when you are using combine it all together. Then what I'm going to do now, I'm going to highlight all this column, control page down, and I'm going to delete all these formulas that are in the inner cell. So with the right button here, I select this paste option, values, and with this there are no formulas, there is just the values. So let's see now that this new column is in the fourth rank. So for this information, I'm going to pull it out and place it here. I'm just making a copy of the headlines. That is the seller code. Here it is. I have the seller code, and here I'm going to pull it out. How? With the VLOOKUP function. So I type equal VLOOKUP. Here it is. And now I enter as text array. As lookup value, I place the seller name, and the table array, the matrix is the seller table. So I select the first 4 rows, the first 4 cells, and then with Ctrl Shift page down, I highlight all. I fix pressing F4 key so that I can have them fixed, comma, and what I wanted to bring to sale is the 4th column, comma, and then 0 to have sharp dates, and enter. So this is a function used precisely to import information from one table to another when you're working with different sheets. And then double click and you see how automatically install the same column, the same code for these rows. Then I select back again this with Ctrl C and delete the formula here with values. Okay, now I have the information but without the formulas. So here I have the unique code of the seller. There is no repetition. And now on sales, I also have the seller code and no more repetitions. And now if you want to place it in order, you could put it in next to seller. So I open here, insert a new column, and then I move it here. And there it is. So that's how you can create key columns key columns to connect one table with another one. Even though we had previous key column that was the seller, and here with this was enough, but it won't always be the same. There is always necessary to create a new column so that you can connect and link, and also to identify this seller with a code inside this key column. I can also put it here as the first column. So remember that all these movements that I'm doing now are belonging to basic Excel knowledge. But if you just want to review, you can replay this video to learn it. So now what I'm going to do is to convert these 3 tables that I have here into a design table. And how can I do that? Then just place the cursor inside of one of these tables, and then I'm going to press Ctrl T, or go to Insert and click on Table. That is just the same as clicking on Ctrl T. So the headings are these, yes, and here is a range from A1 until E10001. So I converted into a table, and now I'm going to assign a new name in the name box. And in this case, I'm going to type in caps sales. So I do the same with the sellers table. I press Ctrl T again, just verify that the headings are here, and the range, it must be saying A1 up to D73. And now again I change the name of the table, and here I type sellers. Now the same with the third table. With Ctrl T, I accept, and here the name will be products. And ready. So now I have changed my 3 tables into design table. So this procedure is mandatory? Not necessarily. It shouldn't be mandatory. This is just a suggestion. If the database or the file that you are working with Excel is yours and you have the ability to change it into tables, do it. This will be helpful for Power BI because you are transmitting the information in a proper way to Power BI. Now I'm going to open Power BI right now. Meanwhile, I'm explaining. So I have already converted all these tables into tables. Here you have the name box, and here are the 3 tables. If you have table 1, table 2, table 3, and you didn't change their names, then just locate any random cell and go to design table here at the top, and here you can change the name. You see the cells here. Here is also the seller and recently the other one. And now I'm going to save this procedure. Now all this information, I am bringing it to Power BI. Before that, if you would like to, you can change the colors of these tables. It's not necessary, but you go here and you just change the color or the design, or you just change it with someone like this one. But it's not necessary to do this. It's just enough to convert it into table. Power BI will thank you this because you are bringing this information in the proper way. So I will teach you how to do this and not leave it as it is. I repeat again, if the file is yours and you have the availability to change it into or convert it into table, do it. But maybe this is not your file and you're pulling out in this file from somewhere, someone, it's not necessary to do that. Okay, so we have Power BI open. I close the previous presentation. I am opening a Power BI from scratch, from zero. So if the information comes from Excel, I click on here, look for the root where it is. I know I'm here in the disk D, this folder where I have the working files. So I have already worked previously with these two. And now let's open this third file that it says sales, seller, and products. And we are connecting the information with Power BI. And now I will explain you this. Why do we convert it into tables? If you notice here, Power BI is detecting 6 files. If I select the seller, you will see when I do that, here is what Power BI is giving me as a preview. I have whole information related to seller, but the headings are not properly detected. It says column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. So this is a simple table, as if you didn't convert it into table. Now let's go to sales. Here are everything properly included and ordered. In products is also okay. However, the seller is not good. So let's compare it with the sellers in plural. And it's highlighted. And here you can see I have all the information because I converted into a table, because when you convert it into a table, Power BI detects perfectly the information. And sales also is okay. And in products, you see, you verify everything is okay. So these 3 that are in caps, besides you can prove with these little icons in blue, and here you have white icons. You already know these blue ones are tables, so I'm going to highlight a checkbox each of these three first, because I converted into tables in Excel. So once I have already selected them, then I click on upload. And the information is being transmitted to Power BI right now. So now let's see what did it do in the data model. Now remember that on the first videos we were working with one sales table. Now we are uploading in three tables, or maybe we could add a fourth, a fifth table, but I'm uploading more information. Like here I say I have products, and here I have the sales, and also I have the sellers, okay? So if we go to this second icon to the left, to the right. So if we go to this second icon of data to the left, here you will verify that I have also the information included here, as if it were Excel. Here is the products, the other one is the sales, and this is the future. So here is the information. 72 sellers. In sales it says 10,000 sales. In products we are selling 12 products in this business. Now if we go to the third icon, that is the model, now you can see that there's something different. Here, if we scroll down, here we have the sellers and the sales too. So we close the properties option here to have more room of working space. And here that you see here that BI, connected each of these tables by something that they have in common. And this is just what we analyzed in Excel. And here in sales, I have a new column that is the seller code. And in seller, I have another column that is seller code. In sales, I have a column that is the product code. And in products, I have another product code. So these are the keys, the key columns where they were connected. And now let's analyze here in Power BI. If I get closer to products, and also here I'm moving from the headings, I can increase the size also. And here I can do the same with the sellers table to analyze some fields that are hidden, and then get closer to the line. So when I get closer to line from product, it here is highlighting the product code. And this is the key column where they are connecting to. So that's why I can analyze information from these tables, because they are connected by a column or by a main key. If I get closer here, it's connecting through the seller code. Immediately you see this. Good. But how did Power BI made this procedure? Because of the BI that Power BI has. When it was uploading the information, it noticed that there is a key or a key column that is called product code, and also in sales you have product code, and that's how it made the connection. Now it says the connection is made through one to many, because from one side you have the product code in products, and in sales you have an asterisk here, a star key. It means many. So this means that in products the product code is unique. Now let's go back to Excel, and here if you see, the product codes are unique, they are not repeating, and this one is different to each of these. So you have 12 unique codes. So here in Power Power Pivot in Power BI, we have the modeling. It's saying that the product code is unique. And here, the product code is repeated many times because here you have here the star key. If we analyze here the sales, I'm going to see that the product code is obviously repeated many times because every day we are generating or registering sales in this business, and they are selling the same product that has the unique code. Obviously, every product has a subcode also. Okay, now, so let's analyze the next table, the sellers table. And here we have a seller code, and in sales there is a seller code. And from the seller side, the code is unique because that's why it has the number 1. And from sales, the code is repeated many times. So if we get back to Excel and here we examine that, we see here that the seller code that we created, this new column we created, this cell makes that each cell for each of them will be unique, doesn't have any repetition. So we added here too, but here the code is repeated many times because the same seller is selling many days throughout the day, so that's why it's repeated. So therefore, this is how we can understand this number 1 and this star key. From time to time, it won't happen immediately. This connection won't happen immediately. Why? Because Power BI is getting to know these rows and keys because they are according to the name. Because one is the product code and the other one is a seller code. So it detected it and also internally detected the information that they both are very similar and connected them. But from time to time, it doesn't do it. If this happens, let's simulate this. Here I'm going to delete this line. With the right button, you can delete it. And then what may happen is something like this. Or maybe something like this happens at work. If you didn't connect it, then it was saying here seller code. But you can connect it, dragging just one to the same field. So it's no matter where you are doing, you can do it from here, from sellers to sales, and then you are doing the connection automatically. If the connection comes from 1 to many, it's perfect. If you're going from 1 to 1, it's good also. But if you're doing from many to many, the connection is wrong. Because you can have in a table to repeat in the same code and in another table to repeat this. So this connection is wrong. You need to get back to your tables and watch out what is going on, what happened with the key column. For my example, my connection is properly done. There's no problem at all. So now here I'm going to do double click in this little arrow that we have here to both sides. So this arrow is showing me is that the information is flowing in this sense. So this means that the information comes from sellers towards sales. If I click it somewhere else here, there is a window opening that it says your table of sales is connecting to this column to the seller's table with this column. It's basically the same. But the problem is that the star key is repeated many times, but here just repeating table 1. It here says that the connection is made from many to 1. So that's why we have the information correctly. So what happens if I type here both and I click OK? And now here you can see the information. It will change a little bit. I will have 2 arrows. So this means that the information is coming through from the sellers table is going through sales table, and from sales is also going through sellers. And this is wrong. In some cases, maybe you are using this, but not in this case. So I type twice, and now you should have it here simply. So this information will not be changed by zone. From time to time, it will be simple and ready. So here you have the connection from one to many. The arrow sense must be always downwards. Remember, this is the fact table, the main table, the general table that is usually updating every day with the sales. And these other tables are the dimension tables that from time to time are filled in with information. These are descriptional tables. In the position that I put these two tables and this one in the middle, this is a star model. This means that all of them, all the others will be surrounding the main one. It's like the mother table, and the children will be the other two. For instance, if I give you another table, invoicing or customers, these tables would be surrounding the sales. But in this case, the main one is this. So this means star. Sometimes they use it with this modeling. This is modeling in Cascade is not so good, not very useful at all. In the better one is like this. Well, talking about this is a very big topic, because in Power BI we can see it this way. We can see how the information is connected, but you need to understand how this connection works. Starting from your work files, for instance, coming from Excel, you should know already which is the key column that is going to be linked to the other one, to each of them. Okay, so in Power BI, you can connect them directly this way. So this is the modeling of information. So what could happen if for some reason I connect with another column? For instance, can I connect the products table with sellers here? And you see what we have. That will be a connection, and it's good. And this means that this connection of this product column comes from one to many. And yes, that's okay, because the information is flowing from up downwards. But here we have a problem, and the issue is that we have the line in dotted. Is to have a dotted line. So this means that this connection doesn't exist. It has no sense. So if I do double click on it, I will notice here that in sales, the name of the seller. And here I have the name of the products. There is no reason to relate all this, because these are products and these are seller names. So this connection is simply doesn't exist. It's not enabled. And I can verify it because the line is not straight. This is a dotted line. So if I want to delete it, I press the right button of the mouse and then delete. Something like this happens, and then so this means that this is not an enabled connection. For instance, can I connect it with the saver date with the sex and trying to connect them? And it says no, it can be possible, you cannot connect it. So you are creating a relationship of some dates in date format with a text format, which is female and male. So there's no sense in connecting my date column with the text column. Can I try to force it and do the connection anyway? I will have this again. You see the line, that this is the dotted line. So the connection doesn't exist, so it's no reason to keep the right way. and then I delete it. Could you create other connections to other tables with the same tables? Could there be any other field? Yes, for instance, seller with seller. If we get back to our work, here we see that we have in sales the seller name, and also in seller we have the seller names. Here's another connection, but let's try to do that. Seller with seller. So now here you see there's a connection, but look at the line. Here's not continued. It's one from many, but it's not valid because we have already a seller code. Maybe I can delete this one, the seller code to seller code, and I delete the relationship, and now you see how this one is located here. So that line is enabled. Why? The better one is the previous one. Maybe you have this one with a normal line. If you have it in normal line, it's good. But this is, in this case, this one is not correct. So the right thing to do is to delete in the seller code that is unique and to add it with the seller code that is also unique. So when you have something like this, and from one to many or from one to one with the arrow down, this means that the action is flowing downwards. So this means this connection is pretty good. So you've got to try this much more when you're working with different tables that you're going to analyze in Power BI. Good. So this means modeling of data. Now we will get back here because we are going to create our calendar table because I haven't finished yet. This is the Power Pivot area with this icon. In Power Pivot here in Excel is a tool that you have it here, something like this. And we created this during the advanced level of Excel. And here it is, so that we can manage this tool. But here on the field, it's quicker, it's faster to study this. Remember that I am using the updated version of May 2021. If I get to help, so it means about that. This is the version of May 2021. So remember, every month you need to update your versions of Power BI. Okay, so to the right, we have also the fields. Now, if you notice, I have the sales products, the seller products, the seller table, the product table. I have them also here. So these properties will be seen later. I was asking you so that you could have more space to work. The movement of these tables, you can execute it. You can move them from the headings according to your preference. I suggest you this start layout as said before. Now let's get back again to the left icons. Here we're going to select the unit price, and here we're going to add the currency symbol of dollar. So if this one appears as decimals, we just cut this off. And now let's get back to the next table. We are in seller tables. I see everything is correct. I don't need to change any format. Everything is fine. And now I go to sales, and here the date. Again, I select the format of date into brief date. Then I verify all the rest, and in quantities I'm going to add the comma for thousands, converting into thousands. So when I do my charts, I have already made this. So this is ready to do the charts. but then we will get back here to prepare our calendar table. Now, please, before continue, save your file. And now you are going to apply this. Type the same name that we have our work. I've been saving in here in this folder, and I'm going to type this name, sales sellers products, and I save it in the same folder and ready. So if I get back here and review, here's the information that I'm saving. This is the previous exercise, and this is the second one that we are discussing on this video. So now it is saved, and from here on the next video we're going to create our famous calendar table. You will see how it's important to do that.